innovation. It's really as American as apple pie. In the U.S., we invented things like the light bulb, the assembly line, and even the Snuggie. Very innovative things. And so do we still have that type of innovative edge in the United States? And the answer, according to the Global Innovation Index, is that we don't. We're ranked 5th in innovation capacity behind countries like Switzerland and the Netherlands. Innovation capacity is an important characteristic because as we're moving into these global economies, things are moving extremely fast. Competitiveness is a matter of days and hours when you're getting products to market. When you think about places like Northeast Ohio, you see historical industries like manufacturing that we relied on steel and auto and some of these other industries. And then in the 70s and 80s, we lost a huge amount of capacity in those industries. We lost people. And so we really became a poster child for what became the post-industrial revolution. We are not alone. For sure, Detroit yesterday just got their final declaration of bankruptcy, proved that relying on one industry is not the right way to go, that diversification is so important. Yet in Northeast Ohio, we have a huge opportunity. We still rely on our driver industries. There's 380,000 employees in those industries, and about 3 to 4 times that many rely on those industries for work. We have an opportunity to help shape those industries and our further opportunities through creating innovation capacity. So I'm the CEO at Nortec, which is a regional innovation economic development organization. Our vision is to create more innovation capacity in our firms and organizations in Northeast Ohio. What we do is very simple. We actually work with companies of all sizes to help get more products to market faster. We also work with policymakers and others to really position Northeast Ohio as an innovation hub. As we're thinking about how to do that, you probably are wondering how I define innovation. Many people, it's sort of this very common phrase. For me, it's doing different things and doing the same things differently. And that's what really captures innovation. So how do we create more innovation capacity? Much of it is very based on the businesses that we work with and really the resources that we're able to bring together and working outside of sort of our comfort zones. A lot of times when we look at measuring innovation, whether it's in the country index that I talked about, it's how much venture capital is there, how much R&D, research and development money is spent. I think we're missing a huge opportunity to look at and measure something extremely important, what's the value system that our companies are built on? When you think about the values of a company, there's an opportunity to create dynamic, diverse, and highly impactful organizations built on what I call G.R.I.P values. So those values include growth, respect, individual responsibility, and passion. And as we're making these changes in how these businesses are built, we need authentic leadership to lead through those transitions. When you think about these G.R.I.P values, they really are based on individuals because organizations can't innovate. Individuals innovate across organizations and within organizations, but it's incumbent upon leaders to create an organization and an environment where people can innovate. So when you think about creating those organizations where people can really shine and innovate, it's about empowering them. It's about creating clear roles and responsibilities. It's about getting them the opportunity to do more. It's about understanding their role within this greater vision within the firm and igniting their passion so that they can continue to be excited about doing their job and their role. With the idea that, well, for me, I didn't really start thinking about a lot of these things until I became Deputy Secretary for Technology Investment in Pennsylvania. state government. I managed about $1.7 billion in that position and 21 people, and in a culture where there had not typically been a lot of empowerment into the job. And so when I joined that organization, I thought, how am I going to measure this idea of growth for people and the idea that people need to take this individual responsibility? And so, of course, on the measurement side, we looked at jobs and we looked at return on investment. But really what it ended up being was how many phone calls was I getting per day? So when I first started the job, I was getting 15 to 20 phone calls per day, that there was questions that only I could answer. It was critical that I answer these questions. So I started working with my team and working with the callers that were calling me. And within a couple of months, I was only getting about 1 to 2 phone calls a day, if that. A lot of days I wasn't getting any. The constituents were not asking less questions, but they were asking the appropriate people those questions. And so I shifted the responsibility to the individuals. It helped their growth because they were able to actually be empowered into their position. They were answering the questions, and I was able to focus on the things that were more appropriate for my position. So it was a great opportunity to do that within an organization that had not seen that kind of individual responsibility and empowerment. Sort of the challenging piece of that, though, is that with every change, there's loss. So although people were more empowered, there was a loss to them. They had to change what they were doing. And that's where that authentic leadership comes in. It's so important for you to be able to help through that period of loss. And sometimes I have loss as other people are making changes because they're so empowered. And so that's where respect comes in. So talking about respect within organizations, it's so powerful to have a group of individuals that can collaborate in a way where there's a trusting environment, where all opinions matter. And so when I think about the respect piece, I think that, for instance, we were in our team retreat today. I spent 9 hours with my team before I put on a suit and came here to talk to you in jeans over at the library. And so the idea that this dynamic environment where, regardless of your position within the organization, you were bringing new ideas, you were bringing thoughtful challenges that might be because of those new ideas, was just a really great outgrowth of our living our innovation and our values. When I think then about individual responsibility, about a year and a half ago, I started working with a coach and an organizational coach, and he said, well, you're trying to get a flat organization. I thought, flat organization, come on. That means that all these people report to me, and how am I supposed to manage that, and how are we do reviews, and all of these other things. So as I evolved through my thinking on that, basically what ended up happening was a flat organization meant that every single person took responsibility and was empowered into the leadership of their job. So whether it was the person who's in charge of our events, the events that we do are critical to engaging our stakeholder set. So if she calls a meeting about those events, it's just as important if I call a meeting about strategy or about the next board meeting. And so that kind of individual responsibility and leadership has become a critical element not only of our organization, but is also a critical element of making sure we're capturing the innovation capacity. Talent is within that individual responsibility, and finding those people, that obviously becomes a critical piece of how do you find people that make sure that take that type of individual responsibility. And so we make sure that as we're recruiting, we're not only looking at the skill sets of the people, but we're looking at who the people are. Do they have the values? Do they share Nortec's core values? And do they share the values that help to create innovation? And do they have passion for what we're doing? And that brings me to the last value, which is passion. So there is when you get so excited about what you're doing, and you're able to bring that excitement And really so much of that passion is defined in the why we're doing what we're doing. So you can think about how you're doing and what you're doing, but as companies, as organizations, as a nation, we have to define our why, because that's really what ignites people's passions and gets people excited about what they're doing. When I think about these GRIP values, that growth, respect, individual responsibility, and passion, there is a leadership model that, historically has very much challenged that set of values. Ideally, this leadership structure would really grow organically from organizations, but then we find that leaders actually squash the ability for these innovative organizations to grow and to thrive. Sometimes it's just low trust environments that do that, or the need to sort of command and control from the top. I think as we move into this next generation, it's going to be so important to move into this authentic leadership that really shows these GRIP values back into our organizations and our people. Part of that is that, we're moving into this, what we call the net generation. That's people, digital technology is key. They're globalized people with global thinking. Many of you are in the audience today. As leaders, if we're not moving to these type of value systems, that's going to be demanded of us over time by the next generation of workers. That authenticity and openness, the idea that they're empowered and connected through networks, all of these things are going to be what defines the next generation of workers, and so defines the next generation of leaders. So when you think about companies and the capacity of the United States to be able to innovate, if it's grounded in growth, doing same things differently, doing different things, that we're constantly innovating and growing, that we have that kind of respect for each other and the opportunities that diversity brings, that working collectively brings, that we have individual responsibility, that we're responsible to lead and for our actions and for our contributions, not only into our organizations, but how does that translate into the contributions of growing our economy? And then passion. It's just so exciting to be a part of something that you believe is critical. And for me, my passion is around this innovation capacity issue. And it's why I run the organization in the way that I run it. It's why I participate in boards nationally and in policy groups to be able to start to define how do we actually make an impact on this issue nationally and internationally. It's a very competitive environment right now. The speed at which change is happening, opportunities and technology is enabling that change. If we look to ourselves and we think about how we can impact our organizations, how our organizations can impact our regions, and how our regions can impact the American economy, I think if we accept those GRIP values as employees and as leaders, we will have the ability to get a grip on innovation for America.